about the stone portrait of Ashoka, Ranyo Ashoka inscription, where it has been found. Kanganahalli, Sanchi, Shahbazgarhi, Sohgaura. Factual question. Again, it can be solved if you have seen this image in your preparation, if you have studied this point with fact, right? Now the answer is Kanganahalli. It is in Karnataka near Sannati. Sannati is a Sannati stupa is there, where major rock inscription of Ashoka was discovered. And what this image is, I'm going to show you. This is the image. This is Ashoka with his queen and the other accompaniments. And there is an inscription which mentions King Ashoka, Ranyo Ashoka. And this is the only image with Ashoka's name, Ashoka's sculpture and image. That is why Kanganahalli Ranyo Ashok image, that is sculpture and inscription is name. This is the only one of its kind. Although Ashoka's name as Devanampiya has been discovered in in a few Devanampiya Piyadasi, beloved of the gods, in few inscription of his inscription edicts are found all over the country. I will show you his major, minor, pillar rock edicts, location of the same in maps. Consider the following: deification of the Buddha. Okay, which are the features of the Mahayana Buddhism? I already told you Mahayana Buddhism. Deification of the Buddha, making Buddha, worshipping him. Deification, making him God himself. As a religious figure, treading the path of the Bodhisattva. Yes, Bodhisattva only in under the Mahayanas. Image worship and rituals. Yes, it is also correct. So all three are correct. I already told you about it. Building Kalyaana Mandap was a notable feature in the temple construction in the kingdom of Chalukya, Chandela, Rashtrakuta and Vijayanagara. Rashtrakuta Empire. Rashtrakuta was in Rashtrakuta dynasty, was in South Indian dynasty in Karnataka, Maharashtra region, Vijayanagara, Karnataka region of medieval period, Chandela of Jejabukti, Chandela of central India, and Chalukya, which Chalukya? Western Chalukyas of Badami, Vatapi. It is not mentioned here. It is not a proper way to tell it, whether Chalukyas or Badami, ancient Chalukyas were there, or Western Chalukyas or later Chalukyas were there. So, the Kalyan Mandap, actually the right answer is Vijayanagar. This is actual question again. It's in Vijayanagar school. So, I mentioned earlier about the three temple architecture, Dravida, Vesara and Nagara, North Indian. And I mentioned that in Karnataka region, like in Vijayanagara, Viru, Paksha, Viru, Bhadra, Vittal, excuse me, sorry. Like here, the question is about Kalyana Mandap. I mentioned there are various mandaps, like Natya Mandap, audience chamber was also there, and Nritya chamber, like Natya Mandap, dance chamber. So Kalyana Mandap was added by this Vijayanagara school in these temples, like in Virupaksha temple or Vittal Swami temple. Okay, and this is Vesara style of architecture, in which not just the main shrine, where also there are gopurams of South Indian style, like in this case, Raya Gopuram, gateways of temple, like in case of Madurai, Meenakshi temple or Chidambaram temple or other South Indian temple in which Dravida style architecture. So in Vesara style, although the rest of the temple is largely in form of North Indian, but there are a mixture of the two. Even in these platform, there was difference. Then look at this image. These are intricately carved pillar. This is a horse, okay, and with the rider, horse. Look at the carving at the top. There, even there horses are there at the ceiling. So these are highly intricately carved, even exterior or interior. And there are design, architectural features, more images I will show you, and these are actually in my personal opinion, these are wonders of the world. There are musical pillars. Look at the I mean, look at the carving there. These structures, these are simply, I mean, our ancestors, although I am from North India, but they have created magical at that time with no modern engineering technology available at that time. So this is appreciable. Next question. Consider the following statements. First, Sant Nimbakra was a contemporary of Akbar. Second, Sant Kabir was greatly influenced by Sheikh Ahmad Sarandi. Which of them are correct? Nimbakracharya was contemporary of Akbar. Akbar ruled from late 16th to early 17th century, that is from 1556 to 1605. I mentioned about Nimbakracharya, Madhvacharya, etc. a little bit, that in medieval time about Dvaita, Advaita, Shuddha, Advaita, etc. the philosophical. So these Bhakti saints of South India had these philosophies, but here only the time period is asked. So whether he was contemporary of Akbar, but actually no. Nimbakara and Vallabhacharya was earlier of, that is of 13th century, not of 16th century. Here it is wrong. Akbar was of 16th century. Akbar was ruled from 1556 to 1605 when he died. 16th century. Next, Sant Kabir was greatly influenced by, it is a very easy thing, because even if you have, obviously Sant Kabir, he was a Sant, Kabir Das, Nipak, Kabir Das, non-sectarianism. He believed, because whether he was a Hindu or not Hindu or Muslims, he was brought up by a Muslim viewer's family, and he wrote a number of his dohe about the non-sectarian path. And Sheikh Ahmad Sarandi was Naqshbandi Sufi. Naqshbandi Sufi from present Sarhand. Sarhand is in Punjab. And Sheikh Ahmad Sarandi, although he was a Sufi, but unlike the rest of the Sufi, he was very, I mean, anti-Hindu. In fact, he criticized Akbar's policy towards his Hindu subjects, and you can say, although he was a Sufi, but he was used by Orthodox ulama in their crusade against such, you can say, such policies of Akbar, which they consider, Orthodox ulama considered as anti-Islam. Such religious policies aimed at promoting religious harmony. Next question. So statement 2 is wrong. Statement 1 is also wrong. Neither Nimbakar was the contemporary of Akbar. He was in 13th century. Akbar was in 16th century. And Kabir and Sheikh Ahmad Sarandi are pole apart in their views. Next question. Mian Tansen. With reference to the Mian Tansen, which one of the following statement is incorrect? Not correct. Incorrect. Very important to note. Tansen was a title given to him by Akbar. Tansen. Akbar has Navratnas. Chandragupta Vikramaditya also had Gupta period. Chandragupta II also has 9 gems, 9 jewels of his nobles. They were from various fields like science, administration, music, and other fields. Obviously, different walks of life. So Tansen was among them. Tansen was a musician. He composed Drupads on the Hindu gods and goddesses, right? Tansen composed songs in his pattern, right? He composed songs on his pattern, including that of Akbar. So B and C is correct. Drupad is, earlier we covered that Drupad was a form of music, was also used for the spiritual and religious aspect, and it is an ancient origin and contains the Sanskrit syllables as well. Sanskrit words, you can just to keep it simple. Tansen invented many ragas. Yes, he invented many ragas, including rag. Here it is mentioned rag Darbari Kanhara, to be played at night. Rag Darbari Kanhara. Then there is morning raga in the form of Miya ki Todi. Midday raga is Miya ka Sarang. Miya ki Todi morning, Miya ka Sarang in the midday, and at the night Darbari Kanhara. Seasonal raga Miya ka Malhar, Malhar, Rag Malhar, Miya ki Malhar. So he modified these tunes, music and music modes, and then he invented Miya ki Todi, Miya ka Malhar, Miya ka Sarang, and Darbari Kanhara. So hence, obviously, if he has invented many ragas and BCD, then incorrect statement could only be A. And A, so the Tansen as a title, factual information is correct. Factual information is the Gwalior. His real name was Ramtanu Pandey from Gwalior, and the King Vikramjit gave him that title, Ramtanu Pandey. His real name was Ramtanu Pandey. Okay. Next question. Okay, Mughal painting. I was telling you about that the time of the paintings, that Mughal painting will come. So here we are with Mughal painting. Who among the following Mughal emperors shifted emphasis from illustrated manuscript to album and individual portrait? Illustrated manuscript. So what do you mean by illustrated manuscript and individual portrait? Okay, so I am giving you a brief idea of the Mughal paintings. Now, why Mughal? What is the Mughal contribution to the paintings? Actually, under Islam, it is prohibited to worship anyone in human form. Unlike Hinduism, this is the basic difference. Among the two, the other one, that is Hinduism is polytheistic, Islam is monotheistic. They believe in a single God, and they don't represent. So what they do is but the painting as an art form is followed there as well. So they paint the nature, flowers and animals, etc. And I mean general lives, people working, but not individuals, so that he can be worshipped neither in a sculpture form, an idol, or nor in painting form. It is prohibited. It is banned. It is considered un-Islamic practice. So illustrated manuscript. So initially, when Indian Sanskrit text and the regional texts were translated to the Persian and Turkish languages, mainly Persian during the Mughal times, earlier Turkish was used. Then those translated copies, manuscripts, some of these paintings were made during the Mughal times, during Akbar's time. But and when Akbar himself took interest in painting, he brought some painters from the Middle East. The names of the painters, I am not going to confuse it here because the question is something else. I am just focusing on this keyword. There is question, who are the famous, there is a list, Bishan Das, Mansoor, and Akbar Rizja, and who was famous for which painting, etc. Then what is album? Album and individual portrait. Then Mughal painting evolved. Then individual paintings started to be formed. Individual paintings started to be formed, and ultimately the paintings album developed. Just painting albums, not just in a book, in a manuscript, in a translated manuscript, here and there is few paintings, but a totally dedicated album of paintings. And ultimately Jahangir Salim, Prince Salim, who took the title of Nuruddin Muhammad Jahangir title, he started the individual portrait. Portrait is a picture in which your head, shoulders and upper waist is shown. So he started his in Hinduism, and it is considered as un-Islamic, and Mughals were criticized for that. Look at the halo. In Hindu goddesses images, you have seen halo around the around the figure. So there is also the influence of the Hinduism there, or the Indian tradition. So the answer of this is Jahangir. Okay, so he shifted to the portrait painting as well as albums, and also the human paintings, not just the flowers and natures. Although flower and nature remain the main area of main subject of the Mughal paintings even during Jahangir and afterwards, because that is considered acceptable in Islam. Portrait in Jahangir's time, this is again the same thing which I have told. In fact, he sent artists to prepare portraits. So after that, because it was banned in Islamic world, but then he sent to the to Uzbekistan, Turkey, etc., so that they can get them their portraits prepared by a foreign, that is an Indian artist coming to their world. That they will say, okay, that Jahangir has asked me to prepare his portrait, and he has gifted me that. But I have not prepared it. I am not doing anything un-Islamic. Jahangir also started the portraits of having his courtiers wear miniatures of himself on a bruise that was attached to the front of their turban. So if someone in his some of his nobles in his court are wearing they started wearing what is brooch? Brooch is a small pendant, a piece of jewelry ornament in which his picture is there. So although it may not be that much popular,